Business success demands that sometimes we have to part with decent, honest and loyal members of staff. To learn more about how to say goodbye, just watch this short video. And welcome to the Sharper Business channel. Have you got the courage, the confidence and the self-belief to dig yourself out of trouble? Because managing a business in the hard times demands rare qualities, because making a loss can be fatal. So you're making a loss, and this should never come as a shock or a surprise to you. And it must never be your bankers or your accountants who break the news to you, because if they do, it's already too late. You see, you should be on top of your game, and you should have a simple system for measuring your sales and your expenses. And if you haven't got one, demand one from your accountants today, so that you know exactly where you are at any one time, so you're not shocked or surprised when you hear that you're making a loss. You see, it's not rocket science, but the simple fact is that if you can't subtract your expenses from your sales because the sales aren't high enough, you're making a loss, and you need to do something about it. Being hopeful, wishful thinking, positive thinking, lighting candles just won't cut the mustard. And the important thing to bear in mind is that successful business people are always informed. They always make decisions promptly and take action immediately. You're going to have to do the same. You're going to have to take action, bearing in mind we've got a simple situation where the sales are less than your expenses and you're going to have to do something about it. So what do? Well, the good news is that there's a formula for getting out of this type of difficulty, and it's not something new. It's been there since the beginning of time. It's a very simple plan, not easy, but simple, and it's simple to understand. You can either increase sales, reduce expenses, or a bit of each. And to go home hoping for something to happen overnight is not going to work. You're going to have to make some decision. So let's talk about, first of all, we're going to increase sales. That's an easy decision to make. But is it real? At a time of a crisis, your expenses are greater than your sales, and the question is, you've decided you're going to increase sales. Is that something you can realistically do? And if you can, how come you didn't do it last week? But let's say you've decided that you can increase sales. But for certain, whatever you do, whatever strategy you have, must be different from the one you had last month. Because increasing sales is usually the greatest challenge that any business has in terms of survival and success. But if you believe you can increase sales, then that's a good idea to go ahead and do just that. If on the other hand, you have to admit that you're not so sure that you can increase sales in the short time that you've got, because this is no time for doing research. This is no time for trying new ideas in sales. You must be able to turn the sales tap on or off, and you must have a system and a procedure that you've employed many times before for increasing sales. If you haven't got that and you're just trying something new, this is not the time to do that, because you're going to get deeper into trouble. So if you can't increase sales, the other option then is to cut expenses. And to cut expenses, what I will see business owners doing time after time after time, they will look at the things that they can stop buying. They'll look at paper and paper clips. They'll look at telephone calls. They'll look at sales, entertainment, marketing, and they look at some administrative costs. And they look at all these items that they can buy less of. And they tend to look at things that they buy, when in fact they're just fudging the decision. Because if they look down through their expenses on their profit and loss account, they'll find that paper clips is pretty low on the percentage list of all their expenses. And what's top of the list? Payroll. And if you have to cut expenses, that's where you should look. And this is where it gets difficult. Because you see, most managers don't like having to say goodbye to the staff. And the day that they don't mind and they don't care about that, they shouldn't be in management. And this is when they have to make some hard and difficult decisions. So they're going to have to decide on parting with some payroll. Because when I say cut payroll, it's not usually realistic to give everybody a percentage cut. That doesn't really work. So the alternative then is we have to let some staff go. So who are we going to let go? Well, we tend to think of maybe people in administration. That's always been difficult to measure. Maybe people in production, we're not so sure they've been working as hard as they could, and maybe we can part with some there. Or maybe some in marketing, and we think we'll part with some of those. A few from operations perhaps. And then we have to decide, and that's going to help, isn't it? Of course it is. But of course the trouble is that sometimes these numbers that we pick from production or administration, management don't even always know their first names. So it's easier to make those sort of decisions when you don't know them. But how about when you look at really how hard these people are working? Is it really efficient and effective to be saying goodbye to a few people in production, when in fact, if we look at the cost of management, their payroll, their costs and their expensive, you might find that for one manager, they might be costing maybe 4, 5 times that of one member of staff. And you have to look at, are they effective? You see, they might be loyal and honest and hardworking, but are they effective at this time? Because the decision has been taken that you're going to have to part with some payroll. So that's a serious decision that you might have to make, and it might be the braver decision to part with some people in management. The other decision, which is even more difficult still, is how about having a look at some people that you love dearly. They could be friends, they could be family. Are they effective is the question. And whilst the business was able to turn a blind eye to their efficiency and effectiveness when times were good, but now the times are not so good, and the company has decided that it has to reduce expenses. The company has decided that these cuts have to be in payroll, and you have to have a look at the efficiency and effectiveness of everybody in payroll, including friends and family and everybody else. So are they effective? Have you got the courage to be able to go across to that lady or gentleman in the corner who's been loyal and hard-working and honest? Maybe they're the first people in the morning to open the doors. Maybe they're last out at night. They're a part of the furniture, but that's the problem. They're a part of the furniture. But unless you're in the furniture business, furniture is not going to help you make money at this time of your business experience. So maybe you have to make that difficult call. And instead of delegating it, make the call yourself. Go across to that member of staff and say, I've got some bad news for you. You see, the trouble is, this company's expenses are greater than sales, and we're going to have to cut expenses. And we've decided we have to cut payroll. And I'm terribly sorry, but we have to say goodbye to you. And they're going to say, couldn't you wait until after Christmas? And you're going to say, I thought about that, but no, we have to do it now. And they're going to say, couldn't you maybe let me go on part-time? And you're going to have to say, I really gave that some thought, but that's not realistic either. We're going to have to part company. And they're going to say, what have I done wrong? And you're going to look them in the eye and say, no, nothing. You've been honest, you've been loyal, you've worked hard. But the sad truth is I have to cut expenses to save the business, and I'm having to say goodbye. And it does break my heart, but that's what I'm going to have to do. Now, if the business owner has the courage to make that type of call, I give you a guarantee that it will enable that business to grow. It'll also help the general manager to grow as an individual. And the great advantage of this is, I promise you, as the business grows over the years, they will be faced with the same situation, only on a bigger scale at a later time, because all successful businesses has to go through these cuts from time to time, and they lack the experience and the talent and the courage for people to take these decisions. So if you can do it now, you'll be able to do it in the future. And the wonderful news about this, if you have the courage to make these cuts right now in payroll, it's remarkable that as well as the colleagues will be sad to see their friends go, it'll be an amazing boost to morale once they've gone. Why would that be? Because if you have 2 members of staff on the same salary, and you have now decided that one of them is less effective than the other, and you've had to say goodbye, the truth is that the staff have been looking at that member of staff for a long time and thinking, haven't you noticed? And why do you value them the same as me? But the very fact when you make the decision to say, I'm parting with B instead of A, what you've done to boost the morale of A is phenomenal. And to all the other staff, for they can see that you have the courage of your conviction and to do what they thought would have made sense. So, the important thing for the success of any business in difficult times is to make these difficult decisions. And it will help the business grow and get out of the difficulty they're in. In this video, you'll have learned that to save your business, you're going to have to make big and difficult decisions that will stand you in good stead for the rest of your business life. To learn more about how to grow your business, stay tuned to this channel. And in the meantime, give us a like, let us have your thoughts and comments below. And to join our community, just hit the subscribe button to be notified of future videos from this Sharper Business channel. And thank you for viewing.